Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important to the messenger. Gentlemen, I apologize for my long absence again. But first, let me give shouts out to those who subscribed and did so monthly in the Jet Black Air Business and First Class Lounge. Because by doing so, it worked out that I had just enough to get this ticket that I need to visit my mom. She's going to, these visits are going to do her a world of good because frankly her memory finally started to give out. And I'd like to see her while she can still remember me. It's going to happen to all of us. If we live long enough, we have to remember that the brain itself is an organ and it fails. Mankind was created in weakness, and then we're brought to a medium of strength, and then we go back to the weakness and helplessness if we live long enough. And if we don't, it is because the medium of strength was still helpless against something else. With this being said, I've had many unexpected things happen this semester. Sometimes financially, but we've been able to get through them, and many times academically. And it's been because of this support. And I have refrained from begging, but I don't refrain from appreciating and thanking you. And that's what I want to do here. Without me even having to beg, you've come through and you've been there for me. Even financially with the subscriptions. With that being said, I know I got a lot of catching up to do. And if the next semester is not this mother cuss word busy, I'll do it. And if it is, then I'll do a job probably in between as badly as I did last semester and as well as I did before that, somewhere in between, because I'm in the process of trying to streamline the next semester ahead of time and using AI to do it. But I have been seeing headlines. Without a lot of details, I've been seeing headlines. And what has been disturbing about these headlines has been how true my pessimism has turned out to be. My wife has told me that I'm a pessimistic person, and I've told her that I'm about as pessimistic as experience demands, because I would rather be a wise pessimist than to be a foolish optimist. You see, if you're a foolish optimist, then you're just a fool. But if you're a wise pessimist, then you're wise. You're just wise. Pessimism is only a flaw when you start to assume the worst without justification. I don't have to tell you how stupid optimism is if you keep on assuming the best without justification. Experience lately has done a hell of a job of teaching me to be pessimistic about certain things and optimistic about others. And that's just to be fair. I've had, and I realize this is going to happen, I'm going to have complaints every semester because I don't give grades, because I don't respect laziness, and I don't feel the need to keep it real by respecting laziness. And so for that reason, there will always be someone that is angry. Sometimes because of misunderstandings, and other times because they're on the wrong side. And I have to accept that this is going to be much more common than what I previously thought. There won't be a way to get around that. The reason why it is that oftentimes what we call standing on business is so difficult is because you have to disregard what you feel as a human being. It's not always right and it's not always wrong, but you do wind up having to just disregard it. And so, therefore, standing on business is called that for a reason. Gentlemen, when Brandon Jamal, was attacked by his own cousin and we saw his face scratched up, I don't think that was a skit because he actually had scratches. And the way he described it was how it played out in my head and in my most pessimistic predictions. I stated that because of a covert Cold War of deception in which the women of our so-called culture insist upon engaging, because of the conspiracy, the secrets of which they will protect at all costs, including our black asses, that we're in a gender war. We don't want the gender war. We don't seek that at all, but we're in one because they insist on protecting secrets at all costs. And what I'd like to know is what the hell it is. More than what I already know. What else are you hiding? Don't worry about what I'm hiding. What I'm hiding is for your own benefit. What you're hiding is for my detriment. What do I hide? Stuff I'm going to keep from affecting you anyway. What do you hide? Stuff that's going to affect me negatively because I don't know. What do you hide? You hide from us the same mother cuss word things you were going to blame us for not knowing. What do we hide from you? Things we will not blame you if you do not know. You see, one of the defining hallmarks of white supremacy is that they will knock a group of people by force back into a stone age, relative to wherever they were beforehand, and then blame them for being in the stone age. They will knock them into levels of dysfunction and then blame them for being in that particular level of dysfunction in which they did not find themselves previously before they got pale visitors. And the ones who are responsible for doing this will do it so secretively that others of the same heritage as them that don't know what they did get disgusted when they find out later on what it is that their own co-racialists have done. In other words, white folk that ain't busy walking around oppressing people find out what the hell the oppressors amongst their ranks have done, and they get sick and disgusted. Well, I mention that for a reason, my people. One of the defining hallmarks of Misandry that is the literal definition of misandry before the term feminism is that they will hold information from you about themselves and then will blame you for not knowing this information that they withheld from you. When they commit paternity fraud on you, they are one step away, if they didn't already cross it, from blaming you for not knowing that baby ain't yours. They would never tell you, they would never confess, they would never just come out and say that. But if they did not already cross this threshold, which is always right next to them, then they're fighting temptation to not cross that threshold all the time and blame you because you didn't know. When they cheat on you, they blame you because you didn't know. And you know what? When you, gentlemen, are childless and you are looking to bond with a lady that's not bringing somebody else's kids to you and you can't, these women sit up looking at you, the childless women and the baby mamas alike look at you and they despise you and look down on you because you don't know that the reason you can't find them is not only because they don't exist, no, they do, but because they have already made a mass determination that you are the kind of guy they would not date until they have another man's kids. Now the cat's out the bag. It's been out.
I'm just trying to take some of these things and put them in words, and often I find that if I have enough time, I sit down and I'll find women's confessions and catalog them in a jet black air lounge for the first and business class. So I don't even have to sit up and reword their confessions and the things they say all the time anymore. Now I can go through certain pages and things and catalog and screenshot and save it and put it there. And if you want to see, if you want well over 100 confessions, even from women themselves, you can become a subscriber there. You'll get all of them if you subscribe to first class. There's nothing you won't see. Business, you'll get a lot of them. But you can go there and subscribe and you will have a long list of over 100 confessions by them. And if you were going to argue, you can utilize that. If you're going to try to convince someone that is blue pill or purple pill, you can use some of that. That's what it's there for. That's why that's one of the main reasons I continue to charge even when I am busy. Brandon Jamal's attack by his cousin proved my pessimism true again. Jordan Pauline's false accusations of what's his name, Tylil, I think it is, proved my pessimism true again. And ain't neither one of them FBA as far as I know. As far as I know, maybe they're each one FBA parent into being FBA. And I'm not saying this because that really makes a difference. Here's why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because of the difference that doesn't make. You see, when they prove me pessimistic, they turn around and they prove other pessimists true, too. Accountable Commentary, AC, shout out to him. Is very pessimistic about getting involved within our race, period. He has said it. The American Keisha, the Caribbean Keisha, the Island Keisha, the South American Keisha, the Continental Keisha are all Keisha. He has stated this. That is a very pessimistic way to view the outcome or to make a prediction as to the outcome. But she just sat up and proved him right. It doesn't matter. Paternity fraud has been such a big deal in Jamaica for so long, they got a slang term for it, jacket. I thought it was a noun, indicating something you wear in the cold. No, it's a verb, indicating your application of a file on somebody by attributing to them a child that they didn't father. And you know that that's not the dad because you wouldn't have fucked him if you didn't already have somebody else's kids. See, we have to stop and think about even these things like paternity fraud, which is one of the most slow and most akin to violence that women can do to a man. False accusations and false attributions of paternity. We have to understand what the hell this is. These are very devilish, demonic, malicious, hateful things they're doing. And I want you gentlemen to understand that these ladies are not sitting up here attributing some other man's kids to you because they think you the dad. They're sitting up there attributing to these kids to you because they hope you will raise them. That's all the hell it is. They have already determined that you're the type they want raising kids, but they don't want you to have your own. So when a woman does this to you, that is the decision she has made, and you cannot alpha your way through that. If you could, Jason Love, the dirty movie actor that I heard slept with somebody else's wife and filmed it, would have been that dude. He would have been the dude that a woman would not lie to about being his kid because the kid would actually be his, but he found out that a little girl he was raising wasn't his. But he bonded with her. I'm looking at this like, so wait a minute, you're going to tell me that's literally not Mike Tyson. Why isn't he the father of the child that was attributed to him? What's the reason for that? Because if you're black, there is no man good enough. None. And I think the ultimate, it makes me start to wonder if, even though it's a Westernisha problem, if the sisters deep down hate us so much because we're not dumb enough to fall for raising their children that have far less black blood than we and they have put together. I think they really are upset that we're not willing to take care of these kids that have an actual white father, and you just come bring them to us and we just raise them. I think they're really pissed about that. I think it's really the fact that we're just not that damn stupid bothers him. But then, like I said, they hate you when you are not even stupid. They hate you as if you were stupid for not being psychic and clairvoyant. It's just like if I get mad and I hate somebody because they don't speak English and I'm in their country. I went over here. I had no business hating Saudis that didn't speak English. It was not my right to hate them. I came to their country. They didn't come to mine. I only hate people who lie about it. Don't lie and tell me you speak it and you don't. Then I'm gonna have a problem. Cheat, okay, we're gonna have a problem because you cheated, not because you're not bilingual. That's when I start having problems. There are a lot of people here I don't respect, and I'm on their own country, on so-called their own land. I don't respect a lot of them here, but it's on an individual basis because of things they've made. It ain't because of their linguistic skill itself. It's because of their dishonesty surrounding them. And their stubbornness when they find out they made mistakes, and you tell them, hey, you gotta fix this, and they can't do it. Bro, you haven't put together a single sentence correctly in English since I met you, and you're in an advanced class. I met you as one of my advanced students. What the F are you doing here? Dr. Bleeze, I am very need bass. Let me get out my face with that. I got students now, they won't even come to class half the time. And then they turn around and get mad because we dropped them, which we're supposed to do when they miss half a semester. But do I have any business hating them because of the English they don't know? No. If they are not bilingual, that's not their fault. They don't know. Unless they lie. These ladies are looking at you for something that ain't your damn fault because you can't know because they're hiding it from you. And then they're blaming you because you can't see through. And when you can see through it, then they do like Brandon Jamal's cousin and attack you in front of their moms and yours. And then Jordan Pauline decides she's going to pull a fast one on Tylil. And you know what? This is why I said a long time ago, gentlemen, leave Keisha's alone and leave Becky's alone. Now, AC doesn't say leave Becky alone. I say leave the Westanisha alone, and I've been saying it for a reason. Look at her sister. Oh, yeah. I think her sister's name is Melissa Mooney. Melissa or Melissa, spelled not with an I but with an E, or Melissa. I think it's Melissa Mooney, yeah. M-A-L-W. If I'm getting it right, her last name was Mooney. Yeah, that's Jordan Pauline's sister. Foot the walk, man. She was found stuffed in her refrigerator in Los Angeles because she just had to date a Pookie who had been violent with women before. Now, last I heard, the trial's still going. But Edward Allen Anderson and AC were on to something when they mentioned her sister. She can't learn. The sister can't learn. And Jordan Pauline is an absolute wreck. And the thing is, what we really have to learn from this is that, yeah, she's an absolute wreck. That's what there's to choose from. And this goes back to what it is that Concrete Rose or Daniel, one of them two said this. They said, we ain't gonna change until men leave. They weren't aware of how many were already doing that. But Tylil, I'm sorry for mispronouncing his name. I can't keep track of these names. He sat up here and proved something. He had a girlfriend. He slept with somebody else, and then he didn't leave his girlfriend for her, and she decided to lie on him. This is why I've been telling you, gentlemen, if you don't say no to them, you cannot get their respect. If you do, they think you're 9AY, but if you don't, you can't get their respect. And truth be told, being alone with them really can be problematic because he was alone with her. What if she tried to get some and he said, no, I got a girl, I'm not doing that. And she was still mad. Now what? She would have asked for $2,000 still. And you know, she is a nasty bitter pill to swallow. Talking about some she asexual, but she don't like brothers. But she always in sexual situations. I mean, you guys gotta understand, man. The pessimism that we preach at times is not because we're pessimists, it is because the experiences of other people and our own keep on telling us the same damn thing. We're not pessimistic enough. We need to be more pessimistic. Look for the ruckus going on. False accusations from within and without the race and the nationality. You're black, whatever your nationality is, the women of that same race and nationality are going to falsely accuse you. Angola, South Africa. Yeah, these are problems. Y'all didn't know that? Oh yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, they facing the same thing over there. And then women from without the race are willing to do this. Grace Jabari, anyone? Jonathan Majors? And we're sitting up here like a bunch of mother cuss word idiots trying to figure out where we can fornicate for free and get away with it. Nowhere. You can't. Can't do it. As I've been stating for the longest, we keep underestimating misandry on the parts of misandrous women. If they're misandrous, you can't underestimate the severity of their misandry. They will punish you just because you can catch a nut more easily than they can. Don't take a lot for a dude. And if the last one didn't do you recently enough, the next one's not going to get many minutes out of it. They hate that. And they hate you for it. Like you designed yourself, like you designed them. They can't stand that. And so if you tell them no, they figure you didn't suffer enough. You say yeah, and you give them some, but you don't give them enough in exchange for that. Then you can't give them enough until your reputation is ruined. That's where the problem comes in. And if you are not schooled enough on how much they actually hate you, you will fall into this. And this is part of why it is that even when we come from homes that have two parents in them, we're not always made well aware. Because see, even dudes that are women slayers and become somebody's dad later on, don't necessarily understand the depths to which women hate guys that they're not laying down with in large numbers. You see, even those guys don't realize how much women really despise the men that are not them. If you're not one of those guys, or if they're very rare, we know, then you're in two categories that are left. You're invisible and you hope that's the case, or you're the one they despise. And if you are invisible and you try to call attention to yourself to become the guy that they want to smash, but you're not that dude already, then they just start to despise you because you try. You want to be invisible because you want to be so invisible that when they move on to the next phase of their life, trying to find a stepdaddy to raise them kids they had without wedlock, with the guys they do want, and then got to keep the kids away from him when they find out that he still wants to be a dad. Yeah, just so they can be in with their friends, being good with their friends. Well, when those women move on to that phase in their life, and then they start looking for stepdads, you want to be so invisible they don't even look for you to be a stepdad. That's how invisible you want to be, because if they notice you and decide, hey, you know what, he'd be a good stepdad, and they try to throw some at you then, and you say, no, then they're like, what the F? Now they mad at the world. They mad at you because you didn't fall for it, and they mad at whoever the hell gave you enough to where you didn't have to just take it from them, or you would never gonna get none ever again in your life. They get all these things run through their head because of not only the social expectations that they have of each other, but because of their hatred for you. Who they don't hate, they never can hate. And who they don't love, they never can love. And the best situation to be is invisible. And when you gentlemen do things that raise your profile and you are no longer invisible, at that point you have to start moving
away from certain things. If you start to succeed, you try to succeed invisibly. That's the best way to succeed if you're a black man. If you're a man in the West in general, really, but if you're a black man, the best way for you to succeed is invisibly. See, because of my subscribers on the lounge, I had enough to go and see my mom with an unexpected trip popping up. Now, the amount that it came out to be was a portion of the ticket. I still had to pay the bulk of it myself. I'm going somewhere with this, but the point I'm making is that the extra that I would not have had, I wound up having because of these supporters, these subscribers. Do you think that the ticket would cost me the same amount as would it cost me if I was visible? No, absolutely not. If my name was recognized, even if I was just N-word YouTube famous and I put my name on that and as who I am, like with my real name, I'd go in there and put my legal name in there and the cost goes up. Airlines got to make their money somehow. So with that being said, and not only that, but the sheer anonymity of traveling would have been just damn near impossible. You think Kevin Samuels can, if Kevin Samuels had lived, and we're in 2022 now, so we are past 3 years after he's been gone. If he lived and continued to rise in fame in life as he has already done post-mortem, do you think that a trip to visit his mom would be the same cost? No, it would be more expensive because of the things he would have to do to be able to maintain privacy. It's expensive to do that once you give it up. And that's why I say the best way to succeed is privately, anonymously. That's one of the reasons I tell y'all that. They come to get you. They don't stop. And you don't have to actually even be mainstream media famous. You could be social media famous and they think you got some dollars and they're coming after you. And it doesn't really start just when you say, oh, all right, fine, and you drop the drawers and get him some. With whatever your attitude is. It doesn't even stop with that. That's not even where it begins. It begins when you are in seclusion alone with them and they could make a move like that. And when you're around some of them that are so ratchet, they don't care who. Some of them don't even give a rat's behind who's looking. What do you think OnlyFans is desensitizing these women to be able to do? It's already doing stuff like that. They put a camera on themselves and do whatever with whomever or whatever, and then people pay to watch it. And even though they don't make a lot of money, I'm pretty sure that there's still too many people seeing them do. There's still too many people for them to have a sense of privacy about these things anyway. So what happens when the culture shifts to where now you can't even just avoid being alone with them anymore because the society is such that everybody's desensitized and numb to when she comes to you in public and is like, you gonna give me some now. And then if you don't, you're 9AY, not just to her, but to everybody. And then if you do, she just all of a sudden starts hollering about she didn't want that and you in trouble. What happens when it gets to that point? Because I'm telling you now, that's what they want. As ridiculous as it is, and as difficult as it would be to get it to that way, that's still what they're looking for. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. It's ridiculous, but today's environment was ridiculous 2 decades ago. Men stopped approaching women. When I was the age of these guys that are not making approaches, the idea of men not approaching was ridiculous. And now look, it's not ridiculous anymore. It's happening. I mean, the women think it's ridiculous, but the men are like, no, it makes perfect sense, because we'd have to be stupid to sit up here and make an approach like that. Like, what are you going to do if we approach? You're never going to respect us if we do. The worst she can tell you is no. That's not what it means to be shot down. Being shot down nowadays means being shot. Because they can sit up and brag to their friends about this. Why they make up stories about how hard they got it being a single mom and how they just holded it down being a single mom, because that's how they relate to their friends. They can't relate to their friends with the same thing that Leave It to Beaver's family had. You know, 2-parent household, stuff like that. They can't relate to their friends with that. That Huxtable type stuff, let alone Cosby, they can't relate to that. You better be a single mom. And girl, you better tell us that baby don't belong to the man that's raising them. Girl, you better get you a stepdad. And your baby daddy better be a no-good ninja. And if he ain't, you better tell us he is. And that's why it is Brandon Jamal's cousin attack, as I said, was going to happen. And Ron O'Neal, shout out to Compassionate and Callous for putting this clip up. Ron O'Neal told the Nigerians that it's coming for them next if they don't get their stuff together and prepare for it. And that's exactly what I've been saying to my Nigerian partners in the city in which I used to live. It's coming. It's coming. They're going. If you don't have a problem in the north of Nigeria right now with feminism, they're going to export it. And you know what? Lo and behold, it's been going on. Ron O'Neal was talking, and he talked about who it's going to separate. He said it would separate mom from dad. It would turn mom against dad, wife against husband, grandmom against granddad, aunt against uncle. But that's not all. It will turn daughter against dad, mom against son, aunt against nephew, niece against uncle, grandmom against grandson, granddaughter against granddad. It will turn lady cousin against male cousin and sister against brother. See, what he mentioned were the couplings, and that was true what he said, but it doesn't stop there. It goes on until the woman is misandrous against her own blood male relatives. Don't believe me? You can ask one of our brothers in Angola. I'm not going to tell the story for him, and he may choose not to, but you can ask him if it's a problem in Angola. Yes, even Angolan women don't have much respect for the men in their family to whom they are related by blood. They don't feel a guck. They want that Portuguese man. F the African man. That's what I keep trying to get y'all to realize and understand. They want. And the truth be told, feminism doesn't stop necessarily within our race, as we already know. It'll do the same thing amongst white families. It's not like it never happened before. You got white stepdads and dads writing to strong, successful male and on Reddit stories about how their own stepkids and blood relatives have turned against them because they're guys, or because they're not blue pill, or they're not purple pill, or because they're traditional in any way, form, or fashion other than provide and protect and serve. Because they believe that authority comes with some of these other functions, and just for believing that, to do the things that women want them to do, they require the authority and the means to do it. And these women will turn against them. It's going on even amongst them. What you think is going to happen with us? Now you understand why I've been saying that the black family is over. It's already done for. Even though most people are still pairing up within their own race, our families are not able to stick together for the most part. Much as they may want to, they're not able to, because frankly, even if you are a responsible man and you find a mature, responsible, and attractive black woman and you form a married couple and a family, what's going to stop your daughters from going different from the route of your wife? Your wife can't keep her off of that track. What's going to, hell, as a matter of fact, what's going to stop your son from eventually thinking that he's evil because he's a male, especially if he's hetero? You can keep him off of that track if you are pessimistic enough, but you got to be pessimistic to even prepare him for it. If you ain't, you can't do it. I had to tell my son things that were not appropriate in a normal situation for a father to tell his son at these particular ages, but I knew it was not a normal situation brewing. I was pessimistic, but I turned out to be right. I'm upset about it, but I'm glad that I went ahead and prepped my son for it. I can't shield him from everything. No parent can, but I sure enough am glad, because pessimism, when you were dealing with outright evil and evil intentions, then that is when you must be pessimistic in the way you plan things. You may not be pessimistic about God, but you will sit up there and start having to deal with the devil, and you want to bring some optimism. You're so optimistic about God, which is fine in and of itself, that you then apply that same optimism to the devil, like he's just going to happen to get sick at the time that it's the most convenient for you, or just happen to make a mistake because you say he going to make one and you believe in God. No, you got to plan pessimistically. You call on God, but you plan for the devil pessimistically. And Misandry is the devil. It comes from the devil. It comes from the same source as white supremacy. Most of us have tended to have more sense when it comes to white supremacy, and more recently there are a few of us that have come straight up Republicans and conservatives and don't even have the necessary pessimism when dealing with white supremacy. Hodge twins, anyone? Some brothers don't know how to handle red pill awareness. They take that red pill awareness, which applies to gender, and then they turn around and start sounding just like the white red pill guys. No, that's not actually the red pill. What do you get when you mix red with white? You tell me. That's the pill they have. It's not red. Not at all. That's why they'll sit up and talk about the authority that they have over their women, but they want to talk about the authority that they so naturally have over other races too. No, races don't require each other the way that genders do. And then you got other people who can get it right about race and can't get it right about gender. That's part of why it is that you hear me being so pessimistic at times. Shahid Bolson knows geopolitics. That man gets a lot of it. He ain't always right about that, but he's very astute in his observations. He oftentimes can see what others are missing. He describes it very well. That helps. But you know what? When it comes down to gender, he's like, you're doing your job as a man when the women in your life take you for granted. What the hell, man? You're telling them to take the man for granted? Then they're going to take him for granted. My wife does not take me for granted. This is the first time that a marriage is going to last as solidly and as strongly as it has. The only other time I was happily married was for a year and a half, and her government put a stop to that mess. They put an end to that. No, They were just like, don't you let that light-skinned man find the right one and stay with her. But now, going on 6 years and some change, and I'm happily married. But there was some pessimism that had to go into that too. There were certain decisions in my life that I had to make pessimistically in order to arrive at a point where I even was able to marry her. I'll tell you now, when I first saw her, I didn't know she was Somali. I thought she was African American. We could have gotten along very well, but I was not going to say anything about a marriage to an African American woman at that point in my life. That wasn't going to happen. I already knew not to do that. Now, technically, she's African and American, but I'm talking, FBA. That's what I'm talking about. And so when I look at these racists with their views, I'm looking at them like, no, see, bro, you don't get it. What your race has done to other races is what your woman is doing to you. When it happens to you, that is karma. When it happens to us, it's the reason why it's karma when it happens to you. We are not the same. You got stuff to say about black women because they're black. We got stuff to say about them because you convinced them to hate us for all of us being black. We are not the same. You didn't care about what our women did to us. As a matter of fact, you hoped that they would in order to keep us in line. We are not the same. We didn't tell your woman to betray you. She got sick of you on her own and complained. And then told us, now that I'm done venting about Mr. Charlie, if you don't drop your pants N-word and give me what I want, I'm going to call him to come and lynch you. That's who the hell they were. We're not the same. That's part of why it is I keep saying that black folk always like to miss nuance, because I'm pessimistic about that in many cases. I knew when they started talking about FBA and ADOS as a division, I knew when they started talking about it as a distinction, I said, keep it as a distinction the way that nationalities already are, but don't let it become a division. Now it's a division. I mean, goddamn, I can't prepare people pessimistically enough. But in order for me to be right about what was going to happen, because now it's happening, was that optimism or pessimism coming from me? I started hearing some brothers in these red pill aware spaces in the black manosphere start talking these conservative and not conservative, but conservative points. I was like, okay, see, you know what? You're going to start, before you know it, you're going to be saying that Trump is the greatest thing that happened to us. And what are they saying now? Trump don't love us now. He'll jump on some other people before he'll come back to us. But that's not love. He's just looking at us and saying, okay, well, you're domesticated enough for me to distinguish you from the others. That's all that is. Okay, fair enough. Fine. But let's be honest with ourselves about it. Are we doing that? No. Not at all. If he gets up here right now and starts talking about any group of black folk, he's not doing it because he loves us and he's mad about how they've been treating us. That man don't fib a guck. He's doing it because he can. And that's part of why it is we got to start looking pessimistically at these other groups of people and even at the stuff they're saying. And we got to start saying, wait a minute, hold it. Why are you saying it? Because now most of us are saying things about Somalis that are not true. Why? Well, we're pessimistic about every other group of black folks. We believe it. You can lie on them and we will sit up there and believe it. Guess what? Most Somalis think that you are crazy if you are Somali and you say you're not black. Now, if you say you're not black American, that means culturally you're distinct and they can see the difference between that. But to sit up and say that you were not racially black when you were Somali, most of them would look at you and say you out your goddamn mind. They don't care if you are Red Hama, which are the really pale-skinned people from, well, relatively pale-skinned people from Mogadishu, also called Mogadishu. If you one of them set up and said, I'm not black, the others look at him and say, you out your damn mind. Now, if one of them says, I'm blacker than you, then the rest of them would roast him for it because they roast each other. But he's considered insane when he denies it. Oh, yeah, they got some Somalis that, and they're not from the north either. They're from the south, and they look like they are Mexican. And I know because my wife spoke Somali in front of some of them one time, and then she asked me in Arabic why they were Mexicans at this particular wedding, and they turned to each other and spoke in Somali. I know. It happens. They wanted to know why she was asking a Latino about why other Latinos were at the party because, or at the wedding, because they thought I was Latino. I'm telling you. And yet, and still, if one of them would to sit up and try to deny being of the black race, others would call them insane. We didn't know that. I mean, I did, but most of us didn't know that. Most of us assumed the absolute worst that we heard. They hate being black. They hate us as black people, and they put their religion over their race every single time. They're not required necessarily to put their race behind something else. That's the thing people don't understand. They're not required to be racially unfair or racially insensitive in order to be Muslim, nor do they require that in their culture. But we think they do. Because when we hear something about other black folks, all of a sudden, it's always pessimism. And that's how we determine if somebody else is telling the truth. Does it satisfy a pessimistic narrative? And is it about other black folks? Yes, we believe it right off the bat. But then we are insufficiently pessimistic when we need to be. I try to help you sort through this stuff. But unfortunately, if you don't agree right off the bat, that's okay because you don't know if I'm telling the truth. But unfortunately, some of you don't even have a wait and see attitude. Some of you, like, you hear me say, look, the Southeast Asian, generally speaking, especially the Muslim Southeast Asian, is not anti-black. Go check into them. Go look and see. I'll tell you that. You know what some of y'all will be like, no, see, you just talking that light skin stuff. You just don't see it. No, I actually can see it because I can test them in ways you can't. You can test them in ways I can't. But when I tell you that, instead of you taking a wait and see approach of standing at a particular distance from some of them that live around you, that are near you, and just seeing how they respond to you when you're kind to them and that sort of thing, you don't even try that out. You don't even see. You're just like, no, they're from somewhere else, and I'm going to treat them just like I would treat the Chinese or the Korean. Matter of fact, I respect the Chinese or the Korean before I respect this guy from Indonesia. Because at least the Chinese or the Korean calls me the N-word. Meanwhile, you don't realize that there are actually some Negrophiles in Southeast Asia. Like, you would never know that. But when I tell you that they do exist, and if you take a cautious approach, you'll find who they are. You're like, no, see, you don't know what you're talking about. That's the problem. We know how to be pessimistic. We just don't know when to be. Matter of fact, we seem to know when to be pessimistic because we're always picking the wrong times and context in which to do it. Meanwhile, you got some folks out here that actually can't stand us, and we sitting up here and thinking we can cooperate with them about certain things in which we can't. You're sitting up here thinking we can cooperate with the Republican Party on a general basis. Now, if there is a specific reason you're doing it and you're honest with yourself about that, it may be the case, but probably not. But you all are sitting up here acting like, oh no, we can actually cooperate with them because we're all conservative, morally speaking. Failing to understand that, no, bruh, you can't cooperate with them. In general, not on a general basis. It would have to be very specific, and you would have to damn near have a contract that states the limits of what that cooperation is in order for it to make any sense if you find a reason with which to cooperate with them. And it was at the basis, there would have to be a common interest that you state clearly. This is our common interest, so we will cooperate with you in this, not in everything. You have to be willing to say to them at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you're still either a outright rat bastard racist, or without actually being racially hateful, you're still too insensitive or you're too unaware of darker racist humanity to be a long-term general ally. You can't do it. Because the minute one of us does something that you were forgiven some of your own for doing, you're going to tell us to cut a break. Get over it. You're not going to treat us equally. You're just not aware of it.
And that's really what makes the biased person bias. They don't just differentiate in their treatment of people, but they do it strictly, whether they know it that they're doing it or not. They do it strictly on the basis of origins and ethnicities and things that are involuntary in a person, not based on behaviors. See, when my student complained to my boss, one of the things he said was, "Well, Professor Black said that he's not going to treat everybody the same. He's going to treat the students that were advanced when they got started better than the ones who had to start off at the beginner or the intermediate class and then come into the advanced step by step. He said he's going to treat them differently." And the thing was, this student was wrong. That's not what I told the students. I told the students that I was not going to treat them all the same because they were not all the same, and that I was not going to treat the students who cheated to get into the advanced class the way that I treated those who had earned their way. What I meant was, if you cheated in a previous class, or you cheated on the placement test so that you didn't have to go through those previous classes, you still cheated, and I know you did because you didn't belong in the advanced class. You weren't speaking or reading or anything at the advanced level, but you were sitting there in the section now, right next to a student who earned it. That was what I told my class. But he didn't pay attention. There were many days he missed. And then when I would be talking, sometimes he'd be distracted by his friends and playing on his phone, and then he would tune back in and pay attention. So he had all these half understandings and half comprehensions. That's really why he got half of what I said. As soon as there's nuance in it, he doesn't understand. He didn't hear that part. One, it's in his second language, and two, it's nuance, and he didn't pay attention. And it's the same thing that I see happening with a lot of us. A lot of times, as soon as there's some nuance, we just start tuning out and start trying to get all binary. You can get binary about certain things. You may have to. Actually, you don't have a choice sometimes, but you cannot make everything nuanced into something binary. You can't pull that off. And we're sitting up here trying to turn the nuance into binaries and turn the binaries into nuances. In the name of accountability and responsibility. No. If it's binary, treat it like that. But when there's nuance, you deal with the nuance. And if you don't know how, at least say, okay, there's nuance, and I don't know it that well, so I'm not going to act like I do. I'm going to refer this to someone that knows more than I do. That's the best you could do. This student didn't do that. He wound up getting embarrassed. I went to the class, made an apology for something I actually did do wrong, told the students, you know what, the semester's about to end. You're going to be asked, what about Dr. Black or Professor Black? Well, this is what you tell them. The next semester is going to be boring because I'm not going to be telling any jokes. And they started asking, where's this coming from, Professor? And I told them, well, I got a complaint. And the complaint involves things like the jokes that I told that you all knew were jokes. He didn't seem to know that they were jokes. I don't think this guy even hated me to complain. I think he didn't know when we were joking because, to be honest with you, he tunes in and out. A lot of you tune in and out. You're playing on your phone, then you're playing around with your friend in class, cracking jokes, and then you look back up again and you hear half of what I said. That's why I would say, hey, what did I just say? Well, this guy would have failed that multiple times. And now he's complaining, and he even thought that what I was saying about the students that don't belong here and the students that do, and why I won't treat y'all equally, he didn't even hear all of it correctly. And the students started looking at each other like, who the F is this guy? And one of my students, who ironically did fail, looked over his shoulder at the complainant and did a body check on him like, yeah, nigga, I know it was you. Like he was going to fight him. Same complainant came to me on the next break time and said, Mr. Black, I'm sorry. I didn't know all this stuff, man. They just set me straight, told me about the stuff that you said the days I wasn't here. I wasn't aware about that. And he withdrew the complaint. But you see, he had to admit to the nuance he didn't know. Once they came to him and told him, so you complaining about this joke and that joke, and he told you he was joking. You complaining about something you heard him say when he explained that it was actually something that's not safe to say, so don't say it. Hey, what is wrong with you? How do you halfway hear? And why should he treat the students that cheated the same way he treats those of us that studied? They're those of us that studied to get into this class. We studied.
We became actually bilingual. Now we're fixing mistakes. And then there are guys like that crap bag over there. He can't say one sentence correctly. He can't spell anything correctly. He uses AI to write all his stuff for him. And he's sitting up here in class with the rest of us, and he's late most of the time anyway, or absent. And you want Professor Black to treat all of us the same? What are you, nuts? What's wrong with you? And that's what we become. It's not that we mean harm like this particular student. He doesn't mean harm per se, but it's like we think that we're going to go on some hero's quest or crusade and that we're going to protect the little man, because he did all of this on behalf, by the way, he did all of this on behalf of a student who did not belong in the class. He did all of this on that guy's behalf. And I made that student sit right next to me during one of the exams, so nobody could say that this guy cheated. I made him do it. And he decided, he was the student that complained, decided that even though he's not that bad of a student, as bad as his partner, he gonna sit up here and be the hero. That's what he was thinking. And that's how a lot of us are. We're thinking we're gonna be the hero, even though we don't necessarily like a lot of other folks. Some of us still had a hero complex, even when we sit back and say we rest and we're not fighting this for anybody else. Some of us still got that hero's mentality. And I'm sitting up saying to you, no, man, no, it's not going to work. Because that's going to involve nuance you're not going to be able to handle all the time. Sometimes the best thing you can do is simply say, hey, let's be fair. What is the reason for this differentiated treatment? And you'll find out sometimes, and I don't mean in the context of how white folk treat everybody else. I don't mean that. We know what that is. But you're going to find sometimes, like in the context of Professor Black, why is he treating different students differently? Well, okay, he cheated in a previous class to get here. He cheated in this class. That guy cheated in the placement test so that he wouldn't have to take the previous classes. That's why I'm treating him this way. I taught you guys how to fix this mistake. He was absent every day I talked about this. He comes back in with the same mistake, he's repeating it. I didn't tell him not to come to class those days. Why are you protecting him? Don't ask me why I'm harsh on him. Why are you defending him when he doesn't do what you did to get where you are, which is why he's not there. And see, a lot of times the ones who failed, that I've already turned the grades in today, so I know how many of them failed. And yet this time it was a third of them. It wasn't a whole section, but about a third of them they failed. You know why? They weren't pessimistic enough about what the hell they needed to do to fix. They didn't know that their mistakes were mistakes, but I taught them. And I said to them, these are the mistakes. These mistakes even have names. Here are the names of the mistakes. Here are the examples of the mistakes. Here are the corrections. Write these down. Take the names, put them into an AI engine, and tell the AI engine to help you practice correcting them and to not hide negative feedback from you, and you will actually get it down in a written form, which is where the bulk of your grade will come from. I told them this. You know what they did? They went home on the weekends and they goofed off. And they went home in the evenings and they goofed off. They didn't do homework. And then they didn't study for the test until the night before. I told them, you can't do that. You start studying at the beginning of the semester, but they would wait till the night before. They were up late at night. I'd wake up on the mornings of the test, and all these messages would be in the group, social media group for the class. All of these messages would be there, and I was like, I don't understand. I told y'all not to wait until last night to study. What do you mean, where am I? You sent me that message at 2 a.m. I was asleep, dummy. And then they turn around and walk into the class, and they're nervous and they're high on caffeine and whatever else they use to stay up all night. And then they're jittery and they forget stuff they already know, and they got headaches. And then on top of that, everything they studied goes out the window, and they put the wrong answers down from before, repeating the same mistakes from before because they didn't actually study and practice. They didn't do what I told them, and they weren't pessimistic enough about what the hell it was going to take. They were optimistic. All the way up until the evening before the test, I'm optimistic. I'm going to study tonight and I'm going to pass. And then what happens? They find out that there's something that they're going to need more time to learn because they're not fixing any mistakes. And that's how some of us are.
We think we're gonna do what white characters on movies do and get the same results, when in reality they can't even do that in real life. And we think we're gonna do what they do we think we in real life are gonna do what they do in movies and then get results like the ones they get in the movies when they can't get that. That's where the problem comes in. I don't like to always be right because I'm human. I would like to be wrong in my pessimism more often. I would like that, but it's going to be up to me. You see, I can't change my optimism about what the system is wrong. Collectively. Individuals can prove me wrong, but my pessimism applies to them collectively, and they've already determined that they're not going to prove any optimism correct. Brandon Jamal will not be the first or the last black man of any nationality to be attacked by a lady relative of his by blood, because he's not going to bow to the gynocracy and the matriarch and the misandry therein. But what I can say is this: you in the black manosphere have actually you've proven my pessimism wrong about one thing, and that has been in your attitude towards education. Many of you have taken on the thinking black man's template. You have decided I will no longer be the stereotypical mindless niggerilla anymore. Now, I was not optimistic about the many more and more black men deciding that they were going to go that route, but you did. Many of you did at various ages. You started to say, you know what? We're not ashamed to crack books anymore, learn stuff, and we're not ashamed because of what other folks did to us that was beyond our control. Even when it comes down to women and the games they play, we didn't play them games they did. It wasn't in our control. It was their decision. We're not blaming ourselves for that no more. We're not going to sit up here and hide from each other what they did to us. It may not be everybody's business, but we're not going to sit up here and blame ourselves. We're not going to hide it like it's our fault. Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that bitch did me dirty. She cheated. That bitch brought me somebody else's kids, told me they was mine. You know what? She did that, not me. I didn't do that. I'm not blaming myself for that. I'm not going to hide it from you, maybe because it's not your business, but I ain't going to hide it from you because it reflects badly on me. It don't reflect on me. She did that. Tylin's only lesson he's got to learn is that he can't be too easy. He's got to stop being so easy sexually, and that's the lesson that many men got to learn. You can't be giving the stuff away for free because they can't appreciate it. They trying to extort you and white-mail you and falsely accuse you because they're not getting enough in exchange for the punani. The whole point is you weren't supposed to be giving a dingling away for free. No wonder it carries a negative value. You made it too free. But you know, a lot of you brothers, although a lot of you still think that you can take them on, good for the stroke or good for the group. A lot of you brothers still think you can treat non-wife material women that way. No, they're going to make you pay. They're going to do that. But many of you did start to put on your thinking caps about a lot of things in life. You changed your attitude towards intellect in general and learning. That is where you proved my pessimism wrong, and I'm vaingloriously proud of black men for that. And I want to see the similar results begin to manifest in other parts of life as well, and not just this. I want to see more of you brethren enjoy other parts of life. I want to see it harder and harder and harder to do to Tylil what Jordan Pauline did. I want to see it harder and harder to do to you what she did to him. I want to see it become more and more difficult and less believable when they start saying these things because, hey, it'd be like a dude bragging on his dingling. After a while, you realize he bragged. And he lying too. I want it to become more and more unbelievable because people will start to say, no, I know brothers, man, but other men may or may not be that dumb behind some booty, but brothers ain't that dumb behind no tail. No, brothers don't trust it like that. he had a girlfriend and then she came and they was alone and she threw it at him and he just fell for it. No, brothers smell a stick up. Brothers smell something cooking. I want people to start saying that. Because as it is, the mindless brutes that even we were trained to think that we're supposed to be, we pretty much looked at and said, hell, nothing for. We never were that, and now we're not even going to accept the notion that we're supposed to be. We're not even going to believe that stuff no more. That was where my pessimism was wrong. Not only could you disabuse yourselves of that notion, but you did. Continue to prove my pessimism wrong in other areas, because I will not be able to withdraw that from making calculations about what Massa or even what the Sistren gonna do, but I still have some hope. When it comes to you, I don't always have to be a pessimistic. I have not always had to be. And you black men, various nationalities, are one part of life about which I've not really had to be very pessimistic. All the time. When I've normally had my pessimism proven false, there have been two demographics. One, the men of our race, various nationalities, but the men of our race. But even above that, God has come through for me in many ways, usually through many of you, so that my pessimism about outcomes in certain situations would wind up being wrong. So after him, it's been you. And oftentimes when he does it, he's using you, singular or plural, to prove false my pessimism and prove true some optimism. And I'm going to ask you to simply do for each other now, more adamantly and diligently, what it is that you've already done for me and others who don't have the microphone to tell you about it. I hope that what I said helps. I mean that. It seemed like I was all over the place, but there was a logic to this. It's just that I had a lot of ground to cover because of the length of time that I haven't been able to record it and upload. But I really do hope this helps. As always, thanks for listening. Black art, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day. Again, thank you for flying with us on Jet Black Air, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.